Welcome back. This is Citi TV. This is an extended World Cup daily. My name is Nathan Kwasho, proudly brought to you by Electroland and by 1xBet. I'm here with Susu Graham and Daniel Cranton. It wasn't the result the Black Stars wanted. They lost 2-0 to the Albi Celeste of Uruguay. It didn't end well at all. The Black Stars finished bottom. But I'm sure they'll take good consolation in the fact that as they were exiting, they dragged their Uruguayan friends with them down the trap hole or down the trap door, back down to wherever it is they all came from. So Portugal finished top, Korea finished second, the Uruguayans finished third, and Ghana finished bottom of the group. But Ghana and Uruguay are out, and Luis Suarez is shedding tears. We'll get into the lighter part of it, but the crux of the matter is that on the day when we expected the Black Stars to have a plan, turn up, get everything going, it didn't turn up. It didn't happen at all for them. They lost 2-0 to Uruguay.
Yeah, it was... The words describe it shambolic. As simple as that. We played our worst game of the tournament when it was our destiny was in our hands. We didn't have to even push for it. I mean, we all know the penalty miss, what happens with the penalty. It completely changed the momentum of the game. I'm sure it deflated our players. And they never recovered emotionally. It's understandable. It's a young team. And this is what tends to happen with young teams. These emotional setbacks rock them a bit harder. But even then, when the Uruguayans started pushing for it, realizing that they needed a goal, we also didn't tell. Our decision-making in the final third was poor. We could have scored a goal and made sure that Uruguay didn't have a hope in the world. We couldn't do that. Even when Uruguay were pushing for it, they were stuck in a box because you have to push for it to get that goal to go through. Mm-hmm. But you also realize that if you leave the back open and Ghana scored 2 goals, you're in an even worse situation. Mm-hmm. So we were in a position where we could have actually snuck through because of Uruguay going for it. And there was so much space, and we didn't do anything with the space. And we struggled in the first half of the second, not even the first half of the second, until about the 85th minute when the Uruguayans realized that Korea had scored. And to that point, we really struggled to create chances. But once that happened, and once the Uruguayans started pushing for it, there was so much space. There were countless times where you would see Kamaldeen or Kudus running with the ball, and you see Semenyo and Bukari a bit free, and they don't release the ball. We need to work on that. Those things, they kind of cost us in the end. But I'll say, I'm not going to fault their effort. The effort was there. The execution was not. It was a poor performance. And it's really disappointing because the round of 16 was there to be taken. There's no reason why we are not playing Brazil on Tuesday, I believe, or is it Monday? Yeah, next Tuesday. Yeah. Because Brazil are likely to win the group. Let's just assume. But Korea, well done to them. They kept Barcelona to the final whistle. They got the result against Portugal. And really, it's because we also conceded too many goals against them that they've qualified ahead of Uruguay. So it was our defending. Really, we are the ones who made all the difference. Our ability to hold on to... And look, Uruguay hadn't scored in the tournament until they faced us. That's what was most disappointing for me because Uruguay had looked like a blade with no edge. The whole tournament, they had struggled, but there were so many opportunities. And truth be told, Daniel Amate is very lucky that his challenge on Darwin Núñez was not a penalty. I'm not going to come here and say the referee made a good decision. He was very lucky. I thought it should have been a penalty. Yeah. And it's not like... And the thought of Luis Suarez scoring that penalty was one of my worst nightmare. But if he had scored that penalty, he would have deserved it because Amate, for all the goals, I feel like he could have done better. But that moment especially, I think that was his worst moment in a horrible performance. I'm not going to single him out because Seidu was not that much better defensive. The two of them on that side did what they had to do. But look, at the end of the day, it's a young team, youngest team on the World Cup. There's 9 African places for the next World Cup. So I will be very surprised if Ghana cannot manage to be one of the 9 best teams in Africa and make it to the next World Cup. So I'm looking to the future. Okay. And there's also an AFCON next January. Yep. Look, there's a lot of things coming. So look, all right. Let's think about the next AFCON, the next World Cup, because that's where this team grows and progresses, that's where they'll make their name.
I see. Daniel, I'll come to you in a second. We'll take a very, very quick break. When we come back, I'll take Daniel Cranton's thoughts on this result, and then when we are done, we can talk about Uruguay's exit and all the light-hearted things you can think of, despite a very sad result for the Black Stars. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. This is World Cup Daily, an extended version on Citi TV. My name is Nathan Kwa. I've got Daniel Cranton and Susu Graham here with me. We are talking post-Black Stars Uruguay. They lost 2-0 to the South Americans. but it was all in vain in terms of the South Americans. They couldn't qualify after Korea beat Portugal by 2-1. Daniel, you can let me get to you whilst you gather your thoughts and sip on your water. Very disappointing result, and I'm sure the players will think about that Andre Ayew penalty moment and say that, look, if that had gone in, the story probably would have been different.
We're out, first of all. That's a fact. That's the fact. It was just not a penalty miss. It was another penalty miss against Uruguay. And it was always going to be extremely difficult. In fact, when I looked at the body language of Andre Ayew for the 5 minutes after that penalty miss, I could just tell that there was no coming back. Because if it had got to him that much, then the rest of the squad would be.
He's the most experienced.
He's the most experienced. He's the guy who, he's a guy who expects
always
to handle
about
this
his
situation.
clapping and his shouting. But that clapping and shouting is necessary to keep.
It was just unfortunate. So I just watched him, and you could tell it was like he was too eager to get something in his book, on a positive note. And as it wasn't happening, you could just tell that it completely deflated the whole team. And you can't fault them because those memories will start coming back. Is it that we are destined not to ever be able to beat Uruguay? Is it going to happen again? And when you are not able to calm down in that period, that is when Uruguay struck. They struck once, they struck twice. And it's a theme that has run through the competition. The quickness in which we concede our goals. Unfortunately, it happened again. And from that time, you were just hoping that the Black Stars would be able to get that one goal to be able to come back into the game. But they just never settled. And Susu mentioned it in his submission. Ghana never settled. If they were able to calm down and settle down and start playing, start stringing passes together, it maybe would have happened. But everybody was rushing it. And today, you see, I think it's very easy to sit back and after 90 minutes and say, this person was bad, this person was bad. The entire system was disjointed today. And you can't really pin it down on one player or the other. I think today was a day where we saw the inexperience of the Black Stars come to play. It's just as simple as that. It was, and it's sad because the people you expected to be able to lead that charge and get them back on track were the ones who were most responsible for it, and Andre for the penalty miss. And it's sad, but come on, these things happen. I would like to go back to my sentiments before the start of the competition, and most people didn't expect the Black Stars to have this opportunity. I'm not saying it is fine. No, it is not fine when you consider how close we were to qualifying for the round of 16. But when you consider some of these things, I see it as a learning curve. We need to learn from this. Apart from Didier and Jordan, this is the first World Cup of all these young guys. And it's just down to the fact that, you see, and I'm saying let's be fair. If you watch them in the Portugal game, you watch them in the Korea game, you could just tell that their nerves were telling. It was so clear. Nobody needed to tell you that these guys.
And if you have youngsters in your team, even if they had made it out of this group, it would have shown at a point in the competition.
It's just sad it came at this point. And again, look, when you have your captain, your leader, the person you look up to, falter when it matters most, and he himself is struggling to pick himself up, honestly, it is going to be difficult for the rest of the guys to pick it up. But as you said, look, there would have been one thing going home and watching Uruguay qualify, but it's if we both go out.
And I want to talk about that penalty specifically. I know everyone is saying, why did he do that? He takes all his penalties. Let's not say that he was joking with the penalty or he didn't take it seriously. That's his penalty-taking method. And what went wrong for him on the day is he usually waits for the keeper to move. The keeper didn't move. And I always say this when I'm talking about... When I talk about Jorginho, Bruno Fernandes, they skip players. There are certain players, even Neymar, they wait for the keeper to move. And when the keeper moves, they have the technique to put in the corner. But when the keeper doesn't move, they also try and put it right in the corner. And I think for Andre Ayew, because the keeper didn't move, he was a bit rattled. And even the way he kicked it, it wasn't a clean contact. I don't know if you noticed, he was a bit off balance when he kicked it. So I think his nerves got the better of him once the keeper didn't move. He played it to the natural side. It was an easy save. And also, there's a lot of people saying that other players should have taken the penalty. I also disagree with that because teams have a designated penalty taker. There's a reason he was chosen to take the penalty. You don't just get up and change the order because someone won the penalty or the person is in good form. He's been taking penalties since. Exactly.
Yeah.
When it was South Africa, he got the penalty, he scored. Why didn't it? Wasn't it Amate who was fouled? Why didn't Amate take that penalty? Because, and I understand the sentiments. When you miss, it's easy to say after they miss that this person should have taken it. It's the same way a lot of Ghanaians said, why didn't Appiah take the penalty for Asamoah? But Appiah has come out to say he even gave the ball to Asamoah and said, score this penalty for him. He gave him his blessing. So even if he was ahead of him in the order, he had given him the blessing to take the penalty. So I don't think we should get hung up on who should have taken it, what happened. Look, penalties are missed all the time. And it's unfortunate for certain players, it can become their legacy. Asamoah is one of the defining moments of his career. Roberto Baggio won a Ballon d'Or, but everyone talks about the penalty he missed 94. in USA 94. So let's try and be fair to them. And these things happen, but like I said, it's a young team. The only way is forward. And there's 3 more tournaments coming up in quick succession where we can do something. And I believe the Black Stars will continue to make us proud because there's a good system growing, there's a good chemistry growing, and certain players are coming to the team and they are making a difference. So I'm very excited to see where this team goes.
Quite interesting. We'll see what happens to the Black Stars going for it. But guys, on a lighter note, I'm sure you saw Luis Suarez, because when it was 2-1, the people on the Uruguayan bench knew the score and they started to gesticulate a lot to the players.
When we saw the score change, the next thing was this. The directors were working very hard because the next shot was Suarez basically becoming, what was the word I'm looking for? He started tearing up. You could see his distress. And that was the first shot. I was just like, and I told myself at that point, look, I don't see us winning the game. There's too little time. But if God is good, we'll take Uruguay down with us. We'll take Uruguay down. And honestly, that's the only solace I can take from this. Like, that's why if Uruguay had gone through that performance,
that would have been more painful.
I don't know how I would have been able to do this show. I can't even think. I don't even want to imagine the emotional state I've been.
But just seeing Suarez in tears,
as they say,
fine.
He who laughs last laughs best. And I've laughed last, and I'm laughing very well. So I'll take it away. I'm enjoying myself. Look, I don't think I've ever enjoyed Ghana losing like this in my life. I think this is the first time in my life Ghana has lost, and I'm in a good mood.
Simply because it also meant that and I can see it from a Uruguayan perspective. You don't win your first game, you lose your second, and then you show up in 6 minutes, you find 2 goals against Ghana who look like they don't know what they are doing. It's all going your way. And then all of a sudden, it's not like Ghana have even scored a goal. They've not scored. There's some other match somewhere.
See, and for me, like I was saying, I didn't want it to be a revenge thing, focus on revenge for the players before the game. But now that it's after the game, let me tell the truth, I wanted it so badly. I just was being diplomatic, but I wanted it so badly.
I think the players also wanted it.
Yeah. No, you see, they wanted it, but from the players' point of view, I don't think they were thinking about let's go out there and hurt these people. We can't stress the importance of that penalty miss to the game plan and the psyche of the team, because you could tell once Ghana missed, Uruguay were uplifted and they played on it. And again, if the person you are looking up to,
he couldn't lift
himself up, how are the rest of the guys going to do it? And you see, it wasn't. I will not blame game plan, because the mistakes were self-imposed mistakes. They were silly mistakes. You could tell it was nerves. You are afraid to make a mistake so much that you end up making the mistake. And then the Uruguayans took advantage of it. And at 2-0, it was like, what is going on? I'm just happy we didn't completely break down.
And speaking about the goals were avoidable. But if you consider the mental state of the players at the time the goals were scored, because it was soon after the penalty and 6 minutes. Yeah. And we've seen the fragility of this team when it comes to conceding. What's the difference between those 2 late goals Portugal scored? 2 minutes. Against Korea, 3 minutes. So there's that fragility when there's a goal. In fact, this game, we actually did better. We did 6 minutes. So, but at the same time, that fragility was still there. And the first goal, what hurt me the most was when the ball came across. Amate missed and Seydou also missed. It's like, how often you get 2 players making a mistake on the same kind of and then once that goal is considered, you just have Ghana just look again. Our mental state after goals has been very bad in this tournament, and that's one thing that it will take time to get out of the team. That one is nothing but experience that gets those things out of the team. It's an experience that when they consider, they say, look, it's just 1 goal. Let's relax. Let's take the sting out of the game. And a team that did that masterfully this season or last season was Real Madrid. when Real Madrid conceded in the Champions League, you could see they weren't rattled. They kind of got the ball, took the sting out of the game, and then, they took about 5-6 minutes to settle themselves before they went for it. And that's what our team lacked. Because when we concede, it's like we don't have that mentality to kind of settle the game before we kind of push for it, and we are punished right after multiple times. And the fact that it happened in every single game,
it just highlights the youth of the team. So,
but talking about all of this, and we are talking about how good the team was and the technical team, I wonder about Otuado's future. And I feel like that's something we should discuss, because as far as we know, his contract is for the World Cup.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people insulting him and saying that he could have. But I think he's done a good job, because if you come in as the lowest ranked team and you make a game out of every game, you don't come and disgrace yourself. I think you should be given credit.
Okay.
And the fact is, if you compare this our AFCON
this is
to
much better.
This is 20 times better.
Look, I want him to stay. I want him to stay because it feels it's a project that is being built. And it started well. Let's be honest. We've qualified for a World Cup. As Suarez said, we've made it a competition. Yeah. We were not disgraced, and we were just the whipping boys of the league.
Because for any team that's this young, your first World Cup can turn out to be a very disastrous one. We've seen the
look at Canada. Canada is a very good example.
So we've made something out of this competition. It was one of the groups of death, in fact, on paper, with Korea on form.
We were expected to come and just
it was supposed to be a whipping boys.
Everyone was supposed to get results against
a contest. So seriously, I feel like we should keep this group for maybe the next 6-7 months. Let them run through the AFCON qualifiers, which I think will go well. Let them finish the AFCON. If things don't go well at the AFCON, then you can.
The AFCON next January or January 2024.
2024.
January 2024. So there's still enough time, guys. Thank you so much. It's been in terms of the results, sad, but
bittersweet.
Bittersweet. If you take Uruguay with you,
what was that word? Is this Schadenfreude?
Yeah, Schadenfreude. Yeah. I mean, the Uruguayans. I'm
feeling that one in my boobs.
It's really good. So thank you, Daniel, and thank you out there for watching. Yes, the Black Stars didn't win, but on the other hand, they took Uruguay home with them, and Luis Suarez was in tears. We'll catch you on Monday with another exciting episode of World Cup Daily on Citi TV. The round of 16 games will start over the weekend. So by Monday, we start on Saturday. So by Monday, we have all kinds of exciting things to share with you. And then we look ahead to the rest of the World Cup. My name is Nathan Kwab. Many thanks for watching. Show proudly brought to you by OneXBet and by Electroland. We'll catch you on Monday. Have a super weekend. Take care and bye-bye.